What's up, YouTube? Welcome to today's video where I want to discuss why romance is a thing for low status men. And you're probably thinking, what does that even mean? What do I mean by romance? We're gonna break that all down in this video. Make sure you stay with me until the end, because by the end of this, I think you'll have a very good understanding exactly as to why this is the case. And I'm gonna leave you with a gift you can take to improve yourself as a man. And if you want to improve yourself as a man, make sure you click subscribe, because I'm constantly posting videos just like this to help you build your body, build your mind, build your life direction, and build your understanding of attraction with women. So without further delay, let's get right into it. Now, as I do with most of my videos, I have my outline in front of me here because I want to make sure I hit on these points correctly to understand exactly why I'm saying and titling this video the way I am about how romance is for low status men. You have to think about this from a standpoint and really understand that everything you've been taught about women has basically been a lie. Now, I know that sounds crazy and that sounds conspiratorial, but it really is, okay? And it starts with understanding that the way that we live in relationships today has not always been the case throughout all of human history, okay? And that these ideas of what I would call romance, which would be like nice gestures, buying chocolates or flowers or double texting or being overly nice to women, all these different things, that's what we're taught from a young age, like you should do to, get women, to court them into your life, to get them to like you. If you buy them flowers, they'll like you. If you do nice things for them, they'll like you. That's what we're taught from a young age. And in a way, it's kind of like this idealistic nature of thinking, oh, that's kind of nice. What I would say is romance, a lot of those things like buying flowers for her or chocolates or doing nice things and opening the door for her and all this different stuff, those are really things, if you think about it, that you would do for like your grandmother or your mom or your sister or somebody like that, right? When you think about attraction, which whether you want to accept it or not, is about sexual attraction, those things are not going to spark desire in a female. You just have to understand that. And the reason that they became popular and became what they are, there's actually a historical context to this. And most people don't understand this. They don't know that there was a point in time where men weren't doing these kind of things. So the question becomes, well, where did this originate from? And why did it take importance and take hold? Now, the truth is, this type of stuff was not a part of our relationships for a long time. It was a strategy that got developed in the 15th century in the south of France by these chivalristic knights because they were trying to essentially court women and get women that they didn't have access to beforehand. And the reason they didn't have access to them was because the men with higher status, the tribal leaders, the men that had the physiques and the wisdom and the resources and the status, those men are the men that got all the women. And to be honest with you, for a lot of human history, that's how things were. Most people don't understand this, but it's only a very small subset of men that actually were able to reproduce throughout human history. I don't have the data on me right now, but it's a very, very small number, okay? And the reason for this is because that in older tribal times, like long, long ago, basically what would happen is that the tribal leaders, the men that were the most wise or the physically strongest, the best warriors, blacksmiths, all these different things, right? Those men are the ones that had all the mating access to women, okay? The other men did not. They excluded those men from the ability to reproduce with these women. And so over time, as we are as a species, we got a little bit more sophisticated in finding competitive advantages in ways that men would convince women to maybe go with them, even though they weren't as good of a biological or physiological bet for the woman, okay? Because you have to understand that women are wired for safety, protection. They're wired to see and secure the man that has the ability to get resources, the man that's ability to protect them and their offspring. These are all things that are baked in through evolution into a female's nervous system, all right? And that's just one thing you have to accept. Now, when these men in the south of France, they developed this idea that essentially, if they couldn't compete with these guys on status and resources, that they could compete with these men on romantic ideas. This is the advent, essentially, of courtly love, right? Which is basically this idea of how we live in the modern world with the way that we look at love and relationships and all these different things. These men in the south of France, to their really credit, these men in the south of France, to their credit, honestly, found ways to be competitive against the men with the higher status and physiques and all that different stuff, right? Understand that romance wasn't the standard, okay? It was the compensator. So basically, the idea was that if you didn't have the status, the resources, the power, the presence, etc., that you could compete with these men based on these romantic ideals, okay? And so what they did was they wrote poems, they played instruments, they gave them gifts because they had to. And these things worked sometimes for them. I want to paint one example from the modern world because I think this will perfectly explain what I'm talking about. I tangentially know some NFL players. I'm not super close with these guys, but I know people that know them, that are close with them, etc. So obviously, I've heard a lot of stories about their dating lives, how they are with women, etc. Now, it's probably no shock to you to know and find out that these guys, when they're trying to get women, they don't buy them flowers. They don't double text them. They don't buy them chocolates. In fact, they hardly do anything. They just shoot them a DM and say, hey, come over. Right? It could be a girl they've never even met before. They don't even waste the time saying, hi, how are you? How are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. It's just a come over. Right? Now, as a female, put yourself in her position. All right, let's say you're in your early 20s. You get a DM from the blue check mark of a guy that plays for your favorite football team, who you know, you've seen him play on TV. And you're like, oh, he wants me to come over? That's amazing. Yeah, I'm going to go over. You know what? Most of the times they do. Most of the times they do. These guys can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, most of the time. Do you know why? Because they have the same thing that those guys in the ancient past did that were attracting all the women. Those guys have the status. They have the physiques. They have the persona. They have what it takes to attract women and turn them on. When those women come over, they're not giving them flowers. They're not giving them chocolates. They're not doing any of that stuff. Even if they get into relationships with these women, right? I'm talking more short term right now, but let's talk about relationship. Do you think that in order to retain that woman, that guy who plays in the NFL needs to buy her flowers regularly? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do you think that he needs to double text her? Nope. He's literally sending a text and she will reply. The reason why these guys can get away with this stuff is what I said. Comes back to sexual market value. Sexual market value is built upon a lot of different things. It's built upon your physique, your social status, your resources, your charisma, your height, all these different things that women are judging you based upon. And I wouldn't say judging, they're instinctively looking at in you. And that's what creates their attraction to you. Okay? The same way that you look at women, if a girl is built great, say she's got a nice ass, she's got, pretty face, nice hair, right? Tight little waist, early 20s. You are wired to be drawn to her. You don't even need to hear her speak, right? Now, if she speaks, you might be turned off a little bit, but you're still attracted to her. That's how attraction works. Attraction is not logical, right? Guys say this all the time. This is the problem that we don't understand about attraction, men and women, is we think that we say we want something like, oh, I want this kind of girl that's this way and that way, and she does this, and that, and then somebody walks by that has none of those traits and is simply physically attractive, and people are drawn to her. That's the way it works. The same thing's true with women. They can say logically, I want X, Y, and Z, and then they'll go, that Steelers player, that NFL player hits them up, boom, they're over their place. It's just the way things work. That's how things have always been. Back in the ancient times, in the Bible, King Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. That's 1,000 women. And what people don't know about King Solomon is that these women were not coerced in these relationships with him. These women wanted to be with King Solomon. Now you ask yourself, why would they want to share being married to King Solomon? Like, that kind of defies everything we know about women. Well, it actually doesn't when you think about it. It's this idea that King Solomon was the man, right? King Solomon had the power, the status, the charisma, all of those different things. He had the amazing lifestyle that those women wanted to be a part of, right? He was inviting them into his world, and his world as the king was amazing, right? So these women chose to be a part of his life. They would rather be a part of his life than not, even if they knew they had to share him. And that's the thing that I think most men don't understand, is that women, in large part, 80% of women are competing for this, like 20% of men. Most women want the same kind of men. And this phenomenon known as pre-selection shows exactly what I'm talking about. If you've ever noticed when you're in a relationship, or maybe you're out with a girl somewhere, you're on a date, whatever it is, women look at you a little bit differently, right? When you're in a relationship, all of a sudden, all these women that you wanted before, now they're attracted to you. And you're thinking, how is that possible? These women can clearly see I'm out with this woman or that I'm dating this woman. I'm taken. So why would they be drawn to me? Because really what it is that women want men that other women want. Because what it signals is you have that social status and you have something that women want. Okay? They're wired that way. They are wired to see men that are taken as being more valuable. So this idea that, getting women flowers and all these different things and double texting them and buying them chocolates and opening the door for them and stuff. Things that you can do that are nice gestures, like I said, but they're not what make women attracted to you. They are what men who have that lower sexual market value have to do to make up for the fact that they don't have that higher sexual market value. So the real question becomes, well, what should you do then? Like, how do you actually attract women? How do you actually get women to be attracted to you without doing all this stuff? You're probably sitting there thinking, I don't want to do this stuff, right? I want to be that guy that women are naturally drawn to. Well, I'm glad you asked that, because this is the key theme for everything you want in your life. This is not just women. Women are mirrors. I say this all the time. Women are mirrors to what you want in the world. They will always reflect back to you where you currently are. Because let's use this example. The men in those ancient times that had the status, do you think they were only excelling with women, or do you think they excelled with women and also in their professional lives? I'll let you answer that question, right? Do you think that the NFL players that attract women, do you think that they only are thriving with women, or do you think they also do pretty well in their professional lives? Yeah, they probably do pretty well there too. And this same thing's true across all places. I'm using the NFL example. You could talk about this in terms of business owners, being a musician, a skateboarder, a surfer, a bodybuilder. It doesn't matter. If you have status, if you have drive, if you have ambition, if you build the masculine traits that women are drawn to, that's what matters the most. So those masculine traits are really important to learn and master. And when I told you at the beginning of this video that I was going to give you a gift, this is exactly what I'm going to give you. Now, the real question is, how do we build that attraction, right? Like, how do we get women to be attracted to us? Well, as I said, and I've kind of alluded to, you have to build that status. You need to build those masculine traits. And luckily for you, I put together a free gift that I'm going to teach you how to do that. If you go down in the description of the video, you're going to find the Magnetic Effect free training where you can literally take that. It is a blueprint that I'm going to teach you how to build exactly the things that not only attract women, but attract the opportunities you want into your life. So go take that right now. Make sure you subscribe. I will see you guys in that next video.